kingdom of peace, all striving cease. O holy night, O holy night. Now we can see, captives are freed from death to life, wrongs made right. God is here, no more fear. Oh, holy night, oh, holy night, oh, holy night, oh, holy night. There is no judgment, no condemnation. There's only love, there's only love, no retribution. Here is the proof that there's only love, there's only love. There is no judgment, no condemnation. There's only love, there's only love, no retribution. Here is the proof that there's only love, there's only love. So fall on your knees before the King, and He will wash your feet.
Hello and welcome One Church to our Christmas online experience. We're so excited that you have decided to make us part of your holiday season and part of your Christmas celebration. Before we get started, there's a few things we want to make you aware of. If you are new, if this is your first time being a part of anything for One Church, if you just found us scrolling through Facebook or YouTube, welcome. We want to invite you to fill out the online Connect card in the comments. This is a way for us to engage with you, to connect with you, to learn a little bit more about you, and to tell you a little bit about who we are as a church and what our mission is. So if you could please fill out that online Connect card as a way for us to connect with you. A second thing, and if you go to One Church, you already know this, one of the ways that we worship God is through giving back to Him a little bit of what He has given us. So if you would like to give financially to the mission of One Church, you can do so safely and securely at onechurchpgh.com/giving. This is for people who call One Church their home. So if you are new, please feel no obligation to give. Please just enjoy the service, enjoy the experience. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about everything surrounding Christmas, because we do so much at Christmas. There's get-togethers, there's shopping for presents, there's doing all kinds of stuff. One of the things that my family does is on Christmas Eve, my dad's side of the family gets together for a huge Christmas gathering. So there's all of these things surrounding Christmas, and we compile that on top of all the stuff we have to do anyways, all the stuff that we do normally, getting kids to school, going to work, making sure we have the house kept up, making sure we have everything where it needs to be. So we do all of the Christmas stuff on top of all of that stuff. And I think with everything going around, everything vying for your attention and reaching for your focus, we miss the holiday itself. We miss Christmas itself and what Christmas means and what Christmas means for our lives. So this year, this holiday season, I want to invite you guys, and Brandon invites you as well, and One Church altogether invites you, let's not miss that. let's not miss Christmas amongst all of the things that we do surrounding it. And the way that we're going to do that today is we are going to focus on the nativity. We are going to focus on what the nativity means, what the pieces mean, what they represent, and how it points us to the reason for this holiday. It points us to the birth of Jesus and the importance that means for the world, the importance that means for our lives. So as we set up this nativity scene, as we look at all of the pieces and what they mean, how they're relevant to our lives, we ask what's really going on at the nativity? What's really happening? And for one thing, it may not actually be what we picture as the nativity. It may not have played out exactly the way that we read it, but rather there may have been more space between certain things happening. But what's really important is that we understand what these pieces represent, who these people represent, and how they relate to us in our lives, where we are at, where we are living through, and how we are supposed to engage in worshiping the birth of Jesus. And so Brandon is going to walk us through the nativity today. He's going to walk us through what these pieces mean. He's going to introduce us to these people, to these angels, and how they decided to come and worship Jesus as King and as God. So Brandon walks us through that, and I'm going to invite you guys then to join with us as we read through the next verses. They're going to appear on your screen. And I want to once again welcome you and thank you for making us a part of your Christmas season.
Well, hey everybody, Merry Christmas. My name is Brandon, and if you're newer to One Church, I have the privilege of being the lead pastor for our church. And I just want to thank you for joining us for our online Christmas Eve service this year with One Church. Thank you so much for taking time out of your holiday season to join together as a family or friends, whoever brought you to this experience and invited you to it. I just want to thank you for joining us. And today our goal is to get us all to Christmas, and specifically get us to the most important part of Christmas, Jesus, and not to miss Christmas this year by not missing Jesus. And this is why I love nativity scenes. Nativity scenes can be very fun. You can have different characters like Snoopy and the Peanuts gang, or more authentic looking characters, people who look like the shepherds and the magi, back when Jesus was actually born. And but whatever the nativity scene looks like, the goal is the same: to remind us of the birth of Jesus, to get us to Christmas. And I love seeing nativity scenes in people's homes or out in their yards, wherever that may be. And so tonight, or today, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be walking through the nativity scene. And to start the nativity scene, it starts with the most important characters: Mary, Joseph, and of course, baby Jesus. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about Jesus. It's all about Emmanuel, God with us, God coming to this earth to continue his rescue mission of mankind, to restore us back to him. And so it's all about Jesus. But then you have Mary, God's chosen person to carry Jesus in her womb, to give birth to him, to raise him, to love him. And so we have her, and of course we have Joseph, her faithful fiance, who trusted God through this crazy situation when he finds out his fiance is pregnant with God's son. Crazy situation, but he trusts God in this. And so you have these three characters, these three people, and Joseph gets pregnant Mary to Bethlehem during the census of the Roman Empire, and this is where Jesus was born. And when Jesus is born, now it's time to announce his birth. And birth announcements are a big deal, right? Now, my wife Danielle and I, we have 3 children. We have Noah, Drew, and Kobe. And when each of them were born, it was an honor, a privilege, and a ton of fun actually to announce that they had been born. Posting on social media, calling friends and family, hearing the joy of people's reactions that our children have been born. That was really fun. But here at Christmas time, we're talking about the birth of the Savior of the world. So what God's going to do pales in, my announcement of my children's birth pales in comparison to what God does. And of course, God does it in a big way by sending angels. Angels show up on the scene. They show up in the nativity scene. They show up first by announcing Jesus' birth to some shepherds. And we'll get to the shepherds in a moment, but let's focus on the angels. They show up big and they start praising God and they start announcing the good news of Jesus being born. And they announce it to some shepherds, and of course, they're terrified. They're taking care of their sheep, and these angels show up, so they're scared. But the angels say, listen, do not be afraid. I bring good news that will bring great joy to all people. And they make it very clear, hey, what we're announcing right now is a big deal, and it's going to be good news for you, and it's going to bring you great joy. And so they do this, they announce this birth, and they're saying, listen, a baby has been born, but not just any baby, the Messiah in the town of Bethlehem. Go see him. This is changing everything. So it was good news. And the angels, that was the role for them in the nativity. They brought good news to the people, announcing the birth of Jesus. Not about you, but I could use some good news, right? This year has been crazy. And so getting good news feels really good right now, right? Well, this is the beauty about getting us to Christmas right now, as we are reminded of this good news. So here's a question I want to ask you. Who first shared the good news of Jesus to you? For me, it was my mom. My mom was dedicated and focused to making sure me and my brothers knew Jesus and knew the good news of Jesus in our lives. And so we were connected to a church in our hometown. She made sure, she set the example by reading her devotions every day, by praying, by sharing the story of who Jesus was and what he did. She brought that good news to our lives. And my question for you is, who did that for you? And here's what we want to do. I don't want you just to listen to me today. I want you to think about this, to talk about this, to really get to Christmas, make this personal for you. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. We're going to pose this question. Who first told you the good news of Jesus? And I want you to pause the video if you're with other people in your home right now and talk about this and share. Here was the person that shared that good news with me first. If you're by yourself watching this, just contemplate on this a little bit. Think about that. If you can, shoot a text or even call the person who first told you that good news to thank them for this. But think about the angels bringing the good news of Jesus' birth. Who brought that good news to you as well? Take a moment, pause the video, share that with people in the room with you right now, or think about that by yourself. And then when you're ready, unpause it and we'll continue on to the next scene of the Nativity. So the angel's announcement of the good news of Jesus' birth was important, but just as important was who they announced that good news to. And when they showed up on the scene, they didn't announce it to family members of Mary and Joseph first. They didn't announce it to your religious leaders. They didn't announce it to government leaders. They announced it to some shepherds. This is a big deal because shepherds were these poor, dirty, social outcasts in that culture. They took care of these sheep, and some of the sheep they took care of in this area of the world were actually used to go be sacrifices in the temple for people to worship God. But what was crazy about a shepherd is their job was so dirty, it made it almost impossible for them to follow all the religious rules and restrictions to properly worship and follow God in that time. And so it's crazy to think about that the angels showed up and they announced this good news first to these poor, dirty, social outcasts. And they announced, hey, that Jesus is born. And this is good news. And this was good news that brought great joy to these shepherds, because what this good news meant is it ushered in a new era of their relationship and connection with God. It was no longer the shepherds thinking, how do I live my life right so I can get to God? No, it was the opposite. Now God got to them through Jesus Christ. And so the angel's good news to these shepherds, these poor, dirty outcasts, it brought them great joy because no longer do they think they have to work their way to God. Instead, God came to them. Even these poor, dirty, stinky shepherds now had a place in a relationship with God. And this was good news for them. And this good news brought them great joy. And that good news and great joy prompted them to act. You see, they could have just sat there after the angels showed up, just sat there talking like, whoa, that was pretty crazy. Like these angels showed up, told us about the good news of Jesus. But no, it prompted them to act on this good news. And they went to see Jesus. They went into the nativity scene. They went to give their worship and honor to Jesus, to see this baby that was changing their lives forever. See, this was good news for them because now they didn't feel distant from God anymore, that God was close. And so they knew God was close, so they went to see God in the flesh in the birth of Jesus. And so how is Jesus' birth good news to you like it was for the shepherds? What does the birth of Jesus and God with us do for you to bring you good news in your life? I think of my friend Camille. When I worked at a church in Wisconsin, we had a church service, and Camille was someone who was wrestling with questions about God, and he was a guy who was trying to make it all fit and answer all the questions and make it fit like, okay, if I live my life right and know all these answers, then God will be happy with me. But finally, one night, he heard a message that the good news of Jesus was this, that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you don't have to have all the answers, that you don't have to be this perfect person to have a relationship with God. The good news is you don't have to get to God. God came to you through Jesus. I remember after service, it just clicked for Camille. And he came to my office, and in tears, he's telling me that he understands that God loves him, and he loves God, and he trusts God, and wants to give his life to God because of the good news of who Jesus is. And after that, Camille went, right after service, he went and got baptized that night, gave his life to Christ because he understood the good news of who Jesus is and what Jesus has done for him. How is Jesus good news for you? What does that good news mean to you? And I'm going to invite you to do the same thing. Pause this video. Talk about how Jesus is good news for you and your family and whoever you're sitting with today. If you're by yourself, reflect on this. Thank God for the good news of who Jesus is. But whatever you're doing, take a moment to reflect. How is Jesus good news for you? And when you're done, unpause and continue on to the next section. So we have Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, the angels, and the shepherds. And then there's another party that shows up at the Nativity that wasn't actually at the Nativity, and that was the Magi, or the wise men, however you commonly know them as. And you notice in the verses it says, upon coming to the house. And what this tells us is the Magi showed up not right at the birth of Jesus, but sometime after, because Mary, Joseph, and Jesus got into some house in Bethlehem. We don't know if it was days after, months after, a year or so. That doesn't matter, because it doesn't take away from them being in the Nativity, because they're so vital to the Christmas story. You see, who the Magi were, they were royalty from the east, probably from the modern-day region of Iraq or Syria. And these princes and whoever they were in royalty, they saw this new star form. And for them, it was a sign of a new king being born. So they started traveling, following the star to see where this new king was. And upon getting to the region, they come across Herod, who was in charge of this region. They're saying, hey, where is this new king? We're looking for this new king. And Herod's like, who? What? Because it was a threat to his own power. So Herod tells him, listen, you find this new king, then you tell me about it so I can go worship him myself. But actually what Herod wanted to do was actually kill this new king that was born. He wants to kill Jesus. But the Magi are aware of that. And they go and they keep following the star, and they eventually find Jesus. They find this house. And upon entering the house, they meet Mary, they meet Joseph, they meet Jesus. And what they do is amazing. These royalty from the east, they worship Jesus, and they bring him these gifts. And they bring him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which seems like a crazy assortment of gifts to bring a baby, but they actually had much purpose. You see, gold was the only proper gift that you could give to a king, and they viewed Jesus as a king, and so they brought him gold because that's what they equated him to. He was a king. They also brought him frankincense, and frankincense was this really good smelling stuff that they used in worship of gods and of a god. They actually used it in the Jewish temple, and so when they brought him frankincense, they were equating him to God. And so he wasn't just king, but he was God, and they were worshiping him in that sense. And then the last thing that brought him was myrrh. And myrrh was this substance used in embalming after someone died. Now imagine Mary's response when they bring Jesus myrrh as a gift. No mother wants to think about their child dying, but this was a gift for when Jesus would die. You see, Jesus was born to die for you and me. And you see, the Magi had it all. They had wealth, they had status, they had everything, but they traveled a long way to get to Jesus to simply worship him and give him extremely valuable gifts that meant a ton and symbolized exactly who Jesus was, that he was a king, that he was God, but he was God who was born to die for you and me, and they worshiped him in that sense. You see, what's amazing about the Magi showing up in the nativity scene is it reminds us to worship Jesus. Yes, Jesus is good news. Yes, Jesus should bring us great joy, but that good news that leads us to great joy should lead us to worship like the Magi did. Are we worshiping? How are you worshiping Jesus at Christmas time? Because I would argue if we don't worship Jesus at Christmas time, we've missed Christmas. We can talk about the good news of Jesus being born, we can celebrate that, but if we don't worship Jesus and that truth, Christmas doesn't mean as much as it should. So how are you worshiping Jesus? Now, in past years, I think for Christmas Eve services, we could worship Jesus by inviting family and friends to come with us to a Christmas Eve service. And hopefully you invited family and friends to join you in your home or watch online with you right now. But it's a little different this year. So how are you worshiping Jesus this Christmas time? Think of some different ways. One of the ways I'd encourage you to do that is make sure you read the story of Jesus' birth multiple times. We're reading through it today in this service, but I would encourage you to do that with a family. Maybe Christmas morning when you wake up with your kids, you read the birth story of Jesus in Luke to remind you and your family of what Christmas is all about. Other people worship Jesus this time of year with their resources as a way to give and worship God for what he's blessed us with. There's a really cool story that I was going to hold off on telling some other time, but I feel like this is a good time to do that. You know, at one church, we have just signed an agreement to buy the building that we meet in on Sunday mornings, and we use it throughout the week for small groups and meetings, and we have dreams of using this for different things to serve our community and make much of who Jesus is through the use of this building. Now, we weren't sure if we could afford this building and make this work. And one of the things, as you probably know, is when you're looking to get a loan out for a building, a down payment would be nice, right? Well, we weren't sure what we could do, how we could do that, what that would look like. And we had someone from the church who will remain nameless because this is what they want, and we want to respect that. But they had been praying for a long time of how they could worship God with the blessings they've had in their lives. and they were praying to God, and God laid it on their heart to give a financial gift to worship Him, but also to bless One Church. And it just so happens that gift was the exact amount of money we needed for a down payment to get approved for this loan. And I was blown away because this person had no idea what that number was, but it was a reminder they were seeking to worship God in their resources. We can do that this Christmas season. We give to charities in need to help bless people. We give to our church to bless the mission that's taking place here. And yeah, we give to help those organizations, but it should be rooted in a heart of worship. We also worship in other ways of telling other people about who Jesus is by reflecting and giving God praise with what we do with our voices, with singing. And so what are you doing to worship Jesus this season? One of the ways we do that as a church is through music. And so over this next part, instead of pausing the video to talk about this, I want to encourage you to do this. I want you to join as Aaron leads us in worshiping Jesus this year through song. Now, here's the deal. You're in your homes. Maybe you're by yourself with your family. Maybe you feel like it's weird to sing in your home. But here's the deal. Your family already knows if you're a good singer or not. And if you're bad like me, my family knows that it's not going to be a shock to their system when they hear me sing. It shouldn't be a shock to you either. So I'm going to encourage you to worship Jesus in this time by singing. Because the good news of Jesus' birth should lead us to Christmas, and that Christmas moment should lead us to worship Jesus. So let's do that now.
The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 Noel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 Noel.
So that's the Nativity. Mary, Joseph, focus on the baby Jesus. The angels announce the good news. The shepherds receive that good news and go see him. The Magi go and worship Jesus. This is Christmas. But the thing is, I don't know about you, I have this love-hate relationship with the Christmas season. I love this season because of what it is. I love remembering. It's the time to remember the birth of my Savior, my Messiah, Jesus Christ. The reason that I have purpose and eternal life with God is because of Jesus. I love this season for that reason alone. I hate this season though because it's easy to miss Jesus. In the midst of everything going on, this whole year has been crazy, and we can easily miss Jesus because of the chaos around us. We can miss the good news of Jesus. We can miss the opportunity to worship Jesus this season because of everything going on around us. So I love Christmas, but I hate it all the same because it's just a crazy time for us. And in the chaos of Christmas, we can't miss Jesus. The whole point of the opening video of this service was a reminder that in the midst of everything we have going on, whether it's seasonal of decorations and presents and all the fun stuff we do with family, or our everyday life stuff of school and work and online school and homeschooling and COVID and decorations and presents, whatever's going on in our lives, we can miss Jesus. We still need to get to Christmas every year. The real reason for Christmas, and that's Jesus. We have to get to Jesus and remember his birth and see that good news and respond to that good news with worship. And so if you're new to One Church, it's your first time experiencing anything with us, we do something we call the one thing every Sunday. And what that is you forget everything else I've said, which is possible, that's fine. I want you to remember one thing, and here's the one thing. We've missed a lot this year. Let's not miss Christmas. See, we've missed a lot in 2020. 2020 will go down as one of the craziest years in history. We've missed family gatherings. We've missed time in school. We've missed relationships with coworkers because we're stuck working at home and building those relationships and sales and all these different things. We've missed time together with friends. We've missed time together as a church. We've been impacted by this pandemic. We've missed events. We've missed birthday parties and anniversaries and all these different things. Weddings have gotten canceled or rescheduled. It's just been crazy. On top of that, this year's also been heavy beyond just the pandemic. People have lost loved ones in the midst of this, and because of everything going on, we've missed opportunities to mourn with other loved ones as we're going through that pain of missing a family member or a friend who have passed away this year. We've missed a lot this year. It's been heavy this year, but let's not miss Christmas. I'm talking like let's not miss the real reason for Christmas. Christmas is a time when we remember and we worship God for who God is and what he did at Christmas time, that he sent himself through his son Jesus to be with us. Emmanuel means God with us. That is what Christmas is. The good news that despite of everything we've ever done, no matter what the state of our world is, no matter what the state of our lives are, we are not far from God because of the birth of Jesus. That we don't have to work to get there, that God did all the work by coming to us. Let's not miss that this year. Christmas is the gift of Jesus. Let's receive that gift. That you and I may have life if we put our faith in the Jesus. And I want to invite you to do that if you've never done that before. To put your faith in Jesus, to put your trust in the Jesus. In the midst of everything that's gone on around us in this past year, let's not miss Christmas. And maybe you're someone, you're like, you know what? God just seems so far from me. I don't even know if I believe in God. And maybe this right now, this is reminding you of what Christmas is all about. That's God coming to you. Because how much he loves you, but how much grace he gives you. You don't have to work your way and figure all the answers out to get to God. God came to you through Jesus. Maybe it's time to receive that truth and trust that. Maybe for the first time. Or maybe you're someone, you've had a trust in Jesus, but the chaos of the year has caused you to miss it. I hope that today in this moment, it's a reminder of what Christmas is all about, and that's Jesus. And you remember that good news. And you remember the people in your life who have told you about that good news. And that good news gives you great joy right now. And that great joy leads you to worship. That's what I hope for you in this moment. To believe in Jesus and that his birth, his life, his death, and resurrection is enough for you. No matter what else is going on in our world, Jesus is enough. See, my hope is you don't miss Christmas, because we've missed a lot of other things this year. So my prayer as we are wrapping up this service is that you got the Christmas. And maybe you've already been there. You've been worshiping Jesus throughout this season, and it's been a great time for you to focus on the good news of what Jesus has done by coming in his birth and leading up to his death at Easter time. But you know what? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been busy with all the Christmas stuff or dealing with life in the midst of COVID. And maybe in this moment you've got the Christmas, and that's my hope. So let's all respond to that good news by living that out, by worshiping. And so hopefully that Christmas is good news for you, and here's how we want to end out that time together, by responding in worship one more time. And so today I say thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas, and Aaron's going to lead us and wrap up this service with us with one more time of worship together.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. In heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. We will sing joy. Joy to the world, the Saviour reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy. Repeat the sounding joy. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. Joy to the world. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. Joy to the world. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. Joy to the world. We will sing joy. We will sing joy. We will sing